be ubiquitous in nature and could even be embedded in the essence of reality. If this is the case, we might have something in common with the Matrix science fiction films, which depict a world where everything human beings experience is a product of a virtual reality generating computer network. If that sounds crazy to you, well, you could be right. It is certainly possible to overstate mathematical links between different systems. As the physicist Eugene Wigner pointed out in 1960, just because a piece of mathematics is ubiquitous and appears in the description of several distinct systems does not necessarily mean that those systems are related to each other. The number pi, after all, occurs in the measurement of circles as well as in the measurement of population distributions. This does not mean that populations are related to circles. I don't agree with that. Yet for a moment, let us imagine that this alternative matrix-style world contains some theoretical physicists, and that one of them asks, how could we discover whether we live inside of a matrix? One answer might be, try to detect the presence of codes in the laws that describe physics. I leave it to you to decide whether Wigner's warning should be applied to the theoretical physicists living in the matrix and to us, all right? So what he's saying is that based on his research and his study of who we are at a subatomic level, we live in a matrix. We live in a computer-generated matrix, meaning that our entire reality is based on a simulated code. And if a code could be written like a computer, anybody familiar with computer know, a code could be hacked, okay? So we live in this particular reality that's generated by computer code, all right? Now, this is important to understand quantum physics. We gotta get into this real quick. I'm not gonna get into all of it, but I'm gonna give you this much. Quantum physics is a weird world. It studies subatomic particles, which are the essential building blocks of reality. All matter, including ourselves, are made up of them. But the laws governing the tiny microscopic world seem to be different to those dictating how large objects behave in our own macroscopic reality. Quantum laws tend to contradict common sense. So this is not for the logic mind. Okay? It's like a thermostat flash. At that level, one thing can be two different things simultaneously and be at two different places at the same damn time. Two particles can be entangled, and when one changes its state, the other will also do so immediately, even if they are at opposite ends of the universe, seemingly acting faster than the speed of light. You need me to explain that? Okay. Particles can also tunnel through solid objects, which should normally be impenetrable barriers, like a ghost passing through a wall. And now scientists have proven that what is happening to a particle now isn't governed by what has happened to it in the past, but by what state it is in the future, effectively meaning that at a subatomic level, time can go backwards. To bamboozle you further, this should all be going on right now in the subatomic particles which make up your body. You can rewrite the past from the future. Okay? That's what slave porn is about. Okay? And now we find, like the brother said, all of a sudden, Obama was president. Baby was talking about, I can be president. I'm a Barack Obama. I am him, right? They were going through all of that. And in like 3 or 4 years, we're in the 60s again. How did it happen? How did it happen? How? All right. Quantum physics postulates that the reason for this is that the particle, okay, now I'm jumping. All right. This is all interesting stuff. I really want you to look into quantum physics. I can't get into every aspect of this article because time is kind of short, but we're gonna run through, we're gonna get to this whole aspects of this tesseract, all right? Because this is important, because this is who you are. Not because I say so. God damn it, this is who you are, don't fight this shit. In geometry, the tesseract is the 4-dimensional analog of the cube. The tesseract is to the cube as the cube is to the square. Just as the surface of the cube consists of 6 square faces, the hypersurface of the tesseract consists of 8 cubical cells. The tesseract is one of the 6 convex regular polar types. So this is what it is. This is the law of 44. A cube, okay, is a square is 1-dimensional. with 4 sides, all right? 4 corners, okay? And a cube has 8 corners, but 6 sides. So your DNA has 4 strands, but only 3 of them are activated. So if you duplicate that, that means you got 6 and you got 8. Because you are a cube in essence. They tell you that you carbon, right? What is a carbon? Carbon is cubes. So everything on an atomic level is composed of carbon. This is what they're talking about. This is what they're talking about. This is the expression of it. All right? And geometry, okay, we went into that whole aspect. All right. All right, real quick, because they got to explain this one too. Life in the Matrix. Wheeler, who died in 2008, was an extremely well-regarded figure within physics. He served as advisor to a clutch of important physicists, including Richard Feynman, while his own work included the concept of the S-matrix, a mathematical tool that helps us understand standard model particles. Beyond the physics community, Wheeler is probably best known for coining the terms black hole and wormhole, but he also coined a slightly less familiar phrase, it from bit. And this is what concerns us here. The idea of it from bit is a complex one, and Wheeler's own description of it is probably still the best. In 1990, he suggested that every particle, every field of force, even the space-time continuum itself, derives its function, its meaning, its very existence entirely from the apparatus elicit answers to yes or no questions, binary choices, bits. The it from bit principle, he continued, symbolizes the idea that every item of the physical world has at bottom an immaterial source and explanation. That which we call reality arises in the last analysis from the posing of yes, no questions and the registering of equipment evoked responses. In short, that all things physical are information, theoretical in origin, and that this is a participatory universe. What he's saying is that what we know as reality is the last stage of a decision-making process that you make. But in order for those decisions to be made, it has to come with the coding of a yes or no answer. Because, quote unquote, God don't know what you're gonna do. You have free will. So they're posing a question, you can say yes or no. You have the equipment within you to go on either path. Okay? So this entire reality that we're in is based on a participatory universe. So all of the fuck shit we're experiencing is by participation only. We can change it. All right, this is just more coded adinkras, tesseracts. All right, he's showing you how they fold onto the tesseracts and everything. You know what I'm saying? Now, many of us, especially those of us who grew up in the 70s or what have you, might be familiar with the tesseract, or it's not only relegated to the 70s because of movies now. So we might remember tesseracts from the Cosmic Cube. We might remember tesseracts from the Energon Cube. We all grew up with the tesseract. They were telling us this shit in our face all the time. And we had no idea that all of these movies with the aliens coming to, this is what they're fighting to destroy the world to find. It's the essence of reality itself. It's the 44 cube. Okay? So, Hydra's secret weapon. Howard Stark, right? Tony Stark's father. We're going to get into him. Fished that out of the room, fished that out of the ocean when he was looking for you. He thought what we think, the Tesseract could be the key to unlimited sustainable energy. That's something the world surely needs. This is Steve Rogers, who's Captain America, and Nick Fury about the Tesseract. The Tesseract, also called the Cube, is a crystalline cube-shaped containment vessel for the Infinity Stone, one of 6 singularities that predate the universe and possess unlimited energy. Once the universe came into existence, it changed form to a stone. It was used by various ancient civilizations before coming into Asgardian hands, who brought it to Earth. After the Battle of New York, it was returned to Asgard. The Tesseract contains the Infinity Stone of space. All right? So, this is what they're also saying about the Tesseract in the comic book world and realm. All right? Because they are specifically the same thing, while they share similar to abilities, the power to alter the environment around them, and a generation of colossal amounts of energy, the Tesseract in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is essentially a doorway through space. Remember that. Remember doorway, remember space. and possibly time. Remember that? The cosmic cube is an object of immense power that has several vaguely defined abilities. They both can be associated with the Mad Titan Thanos and Red Skull in both universes. So anybody who follows the Marvel universes know that's them dudes, okay? Who come trying to destroy the universe dealing with this cube, okay? And how can they say, oh, you know, you can't destroy something that you can, black man is infinity, all right? Well, they figured out, black man, where your infinity lies. And that's what they after. And they got CERN and all that shit talking about Higgs boson. That's what they after, all right? So, this is a depiction that Salvatore Dali, right? The famous artist Salvatore Dali drew. Because the cross is a tesseract, and Jesus is all dealing with the law of 44. Look, I got slides upon slides. I could go into that shit right there, but we'll get into what he says about the tesseract. The most striking change Dali makes from nearly every other circulation painting concerns the cross. Instead of painting Christ on a wooden cross, Dali depicts him upon the unfolded net of a tesseract, also known as a hypercube. The unfolding of a tesseract into 8 cubes is analogous to unfolding the sides of a cube into 6 squares. The use of a hypercube for the cross has been interpreted as a geometric symbol for the transcendental nature of God. Just as the concept of God exists in a space that is incomprehensible to humans, the hypercube exists in 4 spatial dimensions. Just like I told you with the tree of life, okay? Which is equally inaccessible to the mind. The net of the hypercube is a 3-dimensional representation of it, similar to how Christ is the human form of God that is relatable to people, all right? So, the background, Dali's inspiration for Corpus Hypercubus came from his change in artistic style during the 1940s and 50s. Around that time, his interest in traditional surrealism diminished and he became fascinated with the nuclear science, feeling that henceforth the atom was his favorite food for thought. His interest grew from the bombing of Hiroshima and the end of World War II, which left a lasting impression on him. I'm not gonna get into all the rest of it, you know what I'm saying? They have this picture in the Metropolitan Museum. I'm about to go and do a little bit more research on it, all right? But here we go, in the Transformers movies, all right? Or the Transformers cartoon and comic books and all of that shit, they was introducing us to it, right? They call it the Energon Cube. But when I got this from the internet, you know what I'm saying, based on a movie, this is all artwork dealing with the Energon Cube. When they unfold it, they come into a tesseract, all right? This is all the tesseract imagery out of the Marvel universe, comic books in the movies, all right? And this is just dealing with more information, you know, dealing with your whole aspect of who you are at the most subatomic level. And this is just the scientific jargon that goes along with it. 8-4-way, baryon, duceplic, right? And this is dealing with the bits, right? The graduation of computer programming, how it all grew from 8-bit to 64-bit. You know what I'm saying? They're all dealing with these principles, all right? Algorithms controlling humans. Which came first, the human or the algorithm? One thing is for certain, society's reliance on human judgment, unaided by computers, is going to decrease. I don't remember how we used to travel without GPS. I don't remember. Like, people used to drive, they had the big ass map sitting up in their window and shit. Now turn left, go here. How did you used to make them trips by yourself? I have no idea. I can't remember. So, this point is made forcibly in a recent post here at Harvard Business Review by MIT's Andrew McPhail. But machine intelligence will not simply displace human intelligence. It is also poised to complement it. In many areas, the combination of human and machine intelligence will outperform either on its own. How will this collaboration work? Cohen and McGaffey both addressed this different on one key dimension, order. Cohen's thesis is that one's ability to augment machine intelligence will define one's value in the labor market. Are your skills a complement to the skills of the computer, he asked, or is the computer doing better without you? So I see people on Facebook or on the internet, they be like, oh, my baby's the A1 and A+ student, and they got A's in this, and they got A's in that. Is your child in computer programming? Is your child taking up coding? Okay? Because them being A+ students in American history ain't gonna cut it. But that shit is alternate lives. Like, it ain't nothing that's not gonna cut it in the future. Like, the computers will do that. The only future in terms of employment in this world is dealing with computers. And you have to be able to do what the computer can. Because the computer can damn near do about everything about now. In about 4 or 5 years, once we get into 2020, all right, dealing with the dumbing down of America, it's going to speed up a whole lot faster. And people's focus is only on Trump. Because it's going to make people progressively stupid. No disrespect, man. Are your skills a complement to the skills of the computer, he asked, or is the computer doing better without you? His key metaphor throughout the book is that of the freestyle chess player. In freestyle chess, humans and computer teams play together and are able to outperform either on their own. All right? So this, again, some more mathematical computation dealing with the computer. People was bugging after Trump got inaugurated and the numbers came out 666, right? And they was like, oh shit, he's the devil. No, that's the whole aspect, like I said. He's the 44th president and he's living it a whole lot more than Obama was. If we understand what the 44 is about, all right, and we're gonna get into that. So that's all that was. That was just a mathematical computation, which tells you, all right, that the lotto is dealing with computer code as well. They're kicking out numbers. You just don't know where the numbers is coming from. You know what I'm saying? We just see the back end of the code. So I step back and I'm tweaking inside of the computer and I'm like, oh, I see where that code came from. I see why these numbers is gonna follow him. But 666 is also dealing with carbon, right? That's the code. Anything animated deals with carbon. Just because Europeans don't have melanin don't mean that they're not carbonic beings. Anything animated has carbon in it. This table got carbon in it. You feel me? Everything got carbon. All right? So, more information. 4 forces of nature, the 4 fundamental forces of nature, electromagnetism, weak interaction, strong interaction, gravitation. So the universe is always in this juggle between weak and strong forces. All right, that's what makes the universe what the universe is. All right, these are tesseracts that they laid out right after I did my one of my Law 44 presentations downtown Brooklyn at Nicholas Brooklyn. All right, like a few days after that, they started popping up in this entire area with these tesseracts. You know what I'm saying? So going back to this aspect of 4 lobes of the brain, 4 valves of the heart. So by show of hand, does anybody have a heart and a brain in this room? God damn, y'all in trouble. I'm gonna ask you again. Does anybody have a heart and a brain in the room? Then you should all understand what this Law 44 is about. All right? Because the 2 aspects of, I just showed you at the subatomic level. Now, this whole aspect that comes here where you're generating your reality, okay, and you're processing, this your computer, it's dealing with 4s, your heart is dealing with 4s, but I know that's not enough, all right? So, let's get to the brain, all right? And the brain is a computer. The brain is a supercomputer. We can see in the upper left-hand corner that when we go to the gematria, even the brain equals 44, okay? But that still might not be enough for you. So we're gonna go inside of the brain and let's see what is 44 responsible inside of the brain, okay? The Broca's area or the Broca area is the region in the frontal lobe of the dominant hemisphere of the hominoid brain which functions linked to speech production. Language processing has been linked to Broca's area since Pierre-Paul Broca reported impairments in 2 patients. All right. Broca's area is now typically defined in terms of the pars opercularis and pars triangularis, or the anterior frontal gyrus, represented by Brosman cytoarchitectural map as areas 44 and 45 of the dominant hemisphere. Okay, so together with the left hemisphere, BA45, the left hemisphere, and BA44 compromise Broca's areas, a region involved in semantic tasks Some data suggests that BA44 is more involved in phonological and syntactic processing. Some recent findings also suggest the implications of this reason in music perception. Recent neuroimaging studies show BA44's involvement in selective response suppression in go, no, go tasks, and is therefore believed to play an important role in the suppression of response tendencies. Neuroimaging studies also demonstrate area 44 is related to hand movements. So, if your ass speaks, okay, then you owe that to the 44th area of your brain called the Broca's. All right? Anybody use language in the room?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking. All right? How many people speak with their hands?
Yeah.
That's 44. Stop asking me what the 44 is about. All right? So this is also a gematria code. All right? This is a gematria system established by a guy named Marty Leach, where he uses the fingers to count numbers and letters on the fingers. You know what I'm saying? So this is his cipher. He breaks the English language up into 13 letters each cipher. So it's 2 columns of 13 out of 26 letters in the English alphabet. So that's a 44. All right? And this is how he's using this particular cipher to do his gematria counting. And in his gematria system of counting, Yahweh, of course, we know always going to be this 26 in Hebrew, you know, but he shows you that it's Lord and it's God and all of these other interesting things. All of these different systems come back to the same particular situation, and that's the predominance of the number 4. All right? So, real quick, we're going to run through the importance of 44 in Hebrew as they identify it. All right? Restate my assumptions. 1, mathematics is the language of nature. 2, everything around. Oh, this comes from the movie Pi. Anybody seen the movie Pi? All right? Shit gave me a headache every time I tried to watch it before I got this information. I mean, it used to bust my brain. I had to sit down and go back at it again and try, and I'll never be able to finish it. I just couldn't digest what that movie was saying. It was too much. But the premise of the movie was the Hasidic Jews were trying to find a mathematical equation in Wall Street, and the numbers being generated, and you know what I'm saying, and the daily calculations of the Wall Street numbers or what have you, and they had to use the mathematical number pi. But they had an interesting scene in this movie where they give you up the information about 44 as it applies to their secret information and what they work with. 2, everything around us can be represented and understood through numbers. 3, if you graph the numbers of any system, patterns emerge. Therefore, there are patterns everywhere in nature. Each letter is a number, like the Hebrew A. Aleph is 1, B, Beth is 2. You understand? But look at this. The numbers are interrelated. Like take the Hebrew word for father, Ab, Aleph, Beth. 1, 2 equals 3. All right. Hebrew word for mother, M, Aleph, Meme. 1 and 40 equals 41. Sum of 3 and 41, 44. All right, now, Hebrew word for child. All right, mother, father, child, yell it. And that's 10, 30, and 4, 44. So in their system, 44 represents man, woman, and child. What else is there other than that? Okay? So I showed you the 44 at a subatomic level. I showed you 44 in a biological aspect. I showed you 44 in your brain, which is your supercomputer. I'm showing you 44 in the whole Hebrew aspect of the entire family. All right? But I know y'all hard to convince. So I still gotta give you some more. All right? So 44 is blood. 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 The life-generating aspect of all of existence, right? It's blood. They call it the crystal rivers. It carries life through everything. Without blood, you know, who and what are you? So in Hebrew, the word for blood is dam, and the number is 44. But interestingly enough, right, the number for generations, or the number for generations, which is your bloodline, is 444. So the bloodline represents past, present, and future. But also, when you go to the blood planet, which is Mars, all right, 44, Aries. Okay? So that's a very interesting correlation that they would number blood 44 and the planet that represents blood as 44 as well. Now, Mars is a very, very important planet when we're dealing with the physical reality. It's the first planet in your chart. So for the people that inbox me all the time about, yo, I be seeing 44 everywhere I go, there's 44s. What you need to do is find out about your birth chart. And when you see 44, you need to go and find out where Mars is at in your chart that day, because that's what's being expressed to you. And why is Mars integral in your life? These are the properties of Mars. Mars is the god of war, it's the rule of Aries. In astrology, Mars is the planet of energy, action, and desire. It is the survival instinct and can be thought of as the leftover animal nature of man. Mars rules our animal instincts for aggression, anger, and survival. Our sexual desires come under the rule of Mars. Whereas Venus rules romantic attraction, Mars is most associated with basic body attraction. This is the planet of action rather than reaction. With Mars, there is no contemplation before action. The drive associated with Mars differs from that of the sun in that it is self-assertion rather than assertion of the will. It is raw energy rather than creative energy. Mars is the push that gets us out of bed in the morning, our drive and desire nature, and our active energy. When we are acting out our Mars, we are assertive, directed, forthright, and adventurous. On the negative side, we can be impulsive, rash, impatient, aggressive, and forceful. In the chart, the position of Mars by sign shows our basic sexual nature, how we express our anger, what makes us angry, and our first instinct to act. Our competitive nature is revealed in the nature of Mars sign. By house, the position of Mars shows the areas of life where we apply our drive and express our enthusiasm. Planets that Mars contracts are colored with action and self-assertion. These planets can represent the kind of experiences we seek. So, in so many words, so many parts, Mars is the most active principle in who and what you are. It's who you are, okay? You need to be familiar with where Mars is at in your chart. Mars is the determining factor of how you're gonna move through this planet, all right? And assert yourself, okay? Mars, the ruling planet of Aries, is colored red because of the depletion of iron, thus leaving iron oxide, better known as rust, to cover the planet and give it a red hue, okay? So even when we look at the guy responsible for telling them they're going to Mars, Elon Musk, and we do the Jamaican on his name, we find the 44s in there, okay? All right? Even when we look at all of the Mars launches, we can see that they even launched their Mars crafts on the 44s. Do you think that's by coincidence? If I can show it to you at least 10 times, is it still a coincidence? Okay? So don't tell me that these people are not working these numbers purposely, knowing that they are eliciting a response from Mars. Mars is responsible for all things martial. We are here in Norfolk, Virginia. This is a military town. When you do the Jamaican military, it equals 44. Okay? Mars is everything, all right? Dealing with the aggression of reality right now. So they don't miss no opportunity to ritualize Mars. None. You can see it in the launch patterns, all right? You can see it in the 44th president. He's the one, right, mirroring JFK, who was the 44th term president, meaning that Obama served 2 terms. Those terms don't come under his 44th aspect of being quote unquote president, all right? He had different time, I forgot, his might be 57 or 58 or something like that. But JFK was the 44th term president. So he was mirroring JFK. JFK was the one saying we're going to the moon. He's saying we're going to Mars. He's the 44th president, goddammit. All right? Even during his duration, they came out with a comic book, right? Called The Letter 44. This is an explosion on the comic book scene. You know what I'm saying? They up to like volume whatever. They got like graphic novels and books and all of that. They put so many volumes out. And it deals with on Inauguration Day, newly elected President Stephen Blades hoped to tackle the most critical issues facing the nation: war, the economy, and a failing healthcare system. But in a letter penned by the outgoing president, Blades learns the truth that redefines critical. 7 years ago, NASA discovered alien presence in the asteroid belt and kept it a secret from the world. A stealth mission crewed by 9 astronauts was sent to make contact and they're getting close. So you know how Trump was like, yo, Obama left me a letter, right? 144 president passing it to the other 44 president. And the reason I say Trump is the 44 president is because Obama was only the 43rd man to sit in that seat. He was the 44th president, quote unquote, but the 43rd man, okay? Because Grover Cleveland he served as president, and that's the 22nd, and he missed a term, right? Somebody else was elected, and he came back in the 24th, and he won again. So Grover Cleveland served as 2 different terms of his presidency, 22nd and 24th. So Barack Obama is only the 43rd, yet he's the 44th. So Donald Trump is the 44th man to sit in that seat. And he's mirroring Barack Obama, as you can see. You know how Superman had an evil Superman? God damn it, that's Donald Trump, okay? Look, he mirrored, his entire presidency is predicated on the fact that he had a weird fascination with this man. He trolled this nigga all the way to the White House. You understand? All the way. When you go and do the Jamaican birther, that's 44, right? He had a weird fascination with this man. Then he crawled in his shoes, and now he's mirroring him by erasing everything that he's done off of the walls, just like they did to Akhenaten. So when Obama came into the seat, and the Christian fundamentalists and the occultists were like, yo, this is the return of Akhenaten, and our people didn't know what the fuck they was talking about, okay? They know what the hell they're looking at. And this is how they're treating him. They're erasing his name off of the walls of history. All right? So, you see the Tesseract and all of these movies as well dealing with Mars, dealing with these 44s. If we should be in any doubt, all right? The lead actor in The Martian was Matt Damon, okay? Same way when he was in Interstellar. All of these people in this movie was the age of 44 when they made this movie. Go check out KT the Arch Degrees, Interstellar Decoded. It's phenomenal. And he shows you how they ritualized the 44s in this movie. This was an incredible film dealing with the Tesseract. Okay? So he goes to a black hole. Now he's in the Tesseract, and he's able to traverse the dimensions. He's in 5th dimension, and his baby girl is over here in the past. And he's able to poke through time and reality, time and space, which is the 4th continuum, right? He's able to poke through time and space and interact with this child in the past using these tesseracts, because I try to tell you the structure of the tesseract will allow you to do that because they're dealing with the quantum physics, all right? So this is a tesseract again. Like I said, it's a cube within a cube, all right? Where these points are all connected and these faces are all interfacing, all right? This is Interstellar. This is dealing with SARS, right? Which is a phallic symbol. And if you can even see the phallic symbol, the Kit Kat bar shit, that's 44, all right? They came out with this during the time when the Kit Kat 444 4.4 was the operating system for your Android, all right? They don't miss no opportunities. I don't know what they're doing. But yeah, you can see it, right? 4 bars with 4 sections, right? So these are some new movies that they came out with dealing with the hypercube as well. They call the cube. It's dealing with the Tesseract, all right? I never seen this shit. Anybody ever seen it? You might want to go check them out, all right? So the premise of this movie is dealing with these cubes and the fact that they are interfacing and interacting with different dimensions while they're locked inside of this cube. So when I came and I told people, stop telling me that you don't live inside of a box. And people got all up in their feelings. My information is 720 degrees. I don't live inside of a box. I'm like, nigga, we all live inside of a box, all right? So these are some books that we suggest to get some grasp on geometric figures and why they correlate to our lives. They're not just pretty images on paper. These are the things that control our reality, all right? Whether you with this shit or not. So this is how I identify the fact that everything that we do is controlled by the box, okay? And the box is the cube, and the cube is the tesseract, and that's the 44. So all of the things that we identify dealing with money, dealing with commerce, which is the lifeblood of our existence, quote unquote, in this matrix reality. All of these shits are boxed. All right? All of them are boxed. But when you go to sleep or when you wake up, you're waking up in this entire box reality. The bed is boxed, the pillow is boxed, the sheets are boxed, the alarm clock is boxed, the dress is boxed, the mirror is boxed, your box fucking slippers is boxed. All right? You go into your living room, your windows is boxed, your TV's boxed, your everything. Your rug is boxed, your couch is boxed. You know what I'm saying? Your entertainment system is boxed. You go into your shower is boxed. Your toothpaste comes in a box. Your toothbrush comes in a box. Your towels is boxed. Your washcloth is boxed. Your, what's that? The medicine cabinet is boxed. All right? Everything. You go into your kitchen, your fridge is boxed, your cabinets is boxed, your countertop is boxed. You're addicted to box, cube, sugar, and salt. Okay? Your cereal is boxed. You go and get dressed, you put on your boxes. You got your socks, you got your box tie, you take your shoes out your box, you take your cologne out your box, you put on your box shirt, you put on your box pants, okay? You got your box ID with your box wallet. Okay, your whole goddamn reality is in a box. I'm trying to fight it. You live within the cube, within the cube, within the cube. A tesseract. As within, so without. In this matrix reality. All right? You going to work. You got to get in a box elevator to walk down a box block, to get in a box car bus or box car train or box cab, to go into a box building, to sit your ass, go up the escalator, sit your ass in a box cubicle, and punch a box clock, okay? And everything in your cubicle is boxed, computer your computer, all right? And you get home, you can't wait to get home and relax to turn on your box TV, or get on your box computer, or get on your box laptop, or your box tablet, or get on your box phone, all right? And many of us who don't got no lady at home, we got to use a box TV dinner, lay your ass in a box cot, right? 3 hots in a box cot, right? And when you finish, goddammit, they put you in a box. I'm telling you, these 44s ain't important. Somebody told me I was losing my mind. I was like, oh yeah? Okay. Look at this work. So, they inscribe your entire existence on a tombstone box. You know what I'm saying? And then they lace you up. When you come here, it's either on a box birth certificate or box death certificate, and your social security is a box, right? But then they got this whole alternate reality. I could be the best person in the world. I could do whatever I needed to do. But if my credit ain't right, God damn it, they're gonna treat me lesser than less. All right? I didn't know this shit was so important until I was like 17 or something. I went to Atlanta. Shorty was like, what's your credit score? Oh, I got all this Gucci on this shit. I got BBS and asking me about my credit score. She's like, you ain't getting none of this without me knowing your credit score. I was introduced to a new reality. My parents ain't teach me nothing about. I ain't learned about this shit in school. Why they have credit score 101? I'd have aced it. Why didn't they prepare me for this life to tell me no matter what I do, if my credit score ain't right, god damn it, I'm a reject. Okay? And then I found out I'm a fucking straw man. So the society is not even looking at me as flesh and blood. They're looking at me as a straw man based on me being boxed into this reality based on these box contracts. Shit crazy. All right? This is not how they're looking at you. You know what I mean? And you come out of a box. And you're going back into a box. You understand? And many of us live our entire life trying to get back in the box. So, I mean, that's a euphemism that they use in the street, ironically enough, for those that don't know. They call it the box. Nobody could ever figure out, you know. Before it was Netflix and chill, we used to watch the box on TV. So, our reality, right, this matrix reality is controlled by this construction, this particular box, this calendar, false reality, false time, you know what I'm saying, that we consent to, all right? So, People be like, yo, why are you not using Kemetic principles to teach this? Why are you using Hebrew, brother? I thought you were a Moor. I thought you were a Kemite. I said, what year is this? Nigga said 2017. I'm like, come on, son. By consent, you're in the fucking matrix. If you can't tell me what the Muslim year is, don't talk to me, okay? We're all consented into this reality by every day saying it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, X, Y, and Z. That alone puts you in it. It's by consent, all right? We in it. God damn it, let's make the best of it. So, how else was I able to find that they are utilizing code, their own code, right? April 4th is 4-4. I'm looking at the windows, right? At one time, before Steve Jobs came, and the Apple is all 44. But before he came, the richest man in the world, right? Even trumping Trump, when we thought about the richest man in the world, but he was a geek, so we couldn't identify with him, right? The machismo that Trump projected to the world, this is who all these hip hop niggas wanted to be. He has more references than Mansa Musa, than Haile Selassie, than Martin Luther King, or Malcolm X in hip hop. Donald Trump has it. So when people were expressing the fact that they want to be supreme, they all utilize Trump as the epitome of that. But when you talk about Bill Gates and his billions, which was superior to Trump's at one point, right? He founded his company on April 4th. Now, if you even look at the Windows logo, these are 4 boxes separated by this window, all right? And he don't miss the opportunity to remind you of it. Every chance he gets. It's hidden in plain sight, but we don't know what we're looking at. You feel me? 10 minutes. So this is the octahedral aspect of this, you know, because all these numbers have symbols and shapes. So the octahedral is what 44 is emitting when we're talking about this particular shape and geometry. All right, I gotta run through this, y'all. Interestingly enough, like I said, it's a mirror reality. It's dealing with the mirroring of reality in alternate dimensions. All right. So I was on my 44 campaign. The majority of these stories that have come out has been since I was talking about this 44. So this came out this year, in September, I believe, right? They found, quote unquote, they say they found a galaxy that is the twin of the Milky Way that we live in. This particular galaxy that we live in called the Milky Way. And they called this Dragonfly 44. And it's composed of 99.99% dark matter, all right? So, to study the celestial phantom further, Von Dulcum's team observed one of the largest and brightest of them, a galaxy named Dragonfly 44 in the Como cluster. The galaxy emits 1% of the light emitted by the Milky Way. Using a 10-meter Keck 2 telescope atop, the observers measured the width of a speck. This number indicates a massive galaxy roughly the same weight as the Milky Way. If the distributions of the galaxy's mass continues beyond its visible boundaries in the same way it does in our own, Dragonfly 44 is about 1 trillion times more massive than the sun. Furthermore, the galaxy possesses about 90 globular star clusters, 10 times more than a typical low-mass galaxy as dim as this one. This again argues that Dragonfly 44 is massive. So I got my own galaxy named after this research, goddammit. And I'm sticking with that. Because I don't know why they keep touching on these numbers. The Milky Way's dark twin revealed. So, Iron Man, like we were speaking about with Mars and iron and blood. Even the actor that they picked for Iron Man had to be born on April 4th. All right? When they brought this shit to 44th Street at the Discovery Time Zone for its exhibition, they had to use Iron Man as the promo, all right? Because like I said, they know what these numbers entail, all right? And they are ritualizing them for success on monumental level. Anybody remember what the Avengers did globally? The numbers? They broke box office. They did 44 million too, but I mean 44 billion or something. Millions, some shit. I got the article in there. but we're gonna get into it. All right. So I gotta run through this 9/11 aspect to get to Trump. I can't touch on Trump without getting to 9/11 because I said everything that we're looking at is dealing with this post 9/11 ritual. So synchro gematria is when the numeric gematria of words, names, and events connect on a level that defines a normal explanation. So it's not just cool enough that I'm gonna show you something equals 44. How does it relate in events and in names to one another? Let's get into this, all right? The 9/11 memorial is called reflecting absence. So this is a square within a square, right? These are the openings where the towers once stood. So when they took these towers down and ritualized them, which was the 44 ritual, this is what they put in place of it. And I'm going to show you what this means, all right? Because it's not just as simple as we're looking at a square within the ground, all right? And this is this whole aspect, again, like I said, of how they're ritualizing this cosmic cube. This is the Kabbalah. This is a magnet. These are the properties of what a magnet does through magnetism, all right? This is the Kabbalah. They're magnetizing this black cube the same way, this cosmic cube, this Saturnian cube, all right? And when we go to the North Poles of Saturn, of course, we see a cube, okay? And the very top of Saturn. So this is what they're ritualizing and charging up, right? When they move, circumambulate 7 times around the Kabbalah, all right? Which they say is a cosmic cube from space, okay? You see this? This monolith? All right, remember that. We're going to touch on that. We're going to get back to that. All right, this is Saturn. You know what I'm saying? All right, World Trade Centers. When was the World Trade Centers open? April 4th, 1973, okay? But I could just be reaching. Remember this, longitude, latitude lines, right? It's 42 degrees by 42, all right? We're gonna get back to that. So that's Times Square, that's Times Square in itself, right? And like I said, dealing with the box, when you deal with all religious institutions, okay, they never deal with box shapes, never 90-degree angles. The energy in those institutions have to circumambulate and move around. So you're always gonna see domes, right? You're always gonna see domes when you're dealing with religious institutions because they don't wanna box that particular energy in. If they're trying to send that energy up, they won't use 90-degree angles. But we live in apartments, we live in houses, we were introduced to 90-degree angles relatively recently. They say that we came from huts. And our other people came from teepees and stuff like that. You ain't hear in antiquity us living in no goddamn apartments, Victorian homes and shit like that. That's not what we did. All right? Even the Vatican got domes on it. So these are the Hasidics in Brooklyn where we live. This is how they give it up. This is straight Saturn worship. That's why they Sabbath on Saturday. That's why they in all black. That's the color of Saturn, dealing with these spherical hats, dealing with the rings, right? And then they got the cubes on their domes, doing their homage and paying their homage, right? So when they give it up, they're not giving it up to Jehovah. They're giving it up to Saturn. And that's how they ritualize, and we'll show you, okay? I got slide after slide after slide dealing with Israel in 44, and that's the premise of what I was talking about with the tetrad blood moons. The 4 blood moons that started in April of 2014. It dealt with this entire aspect of them ritualizing our energy. We took L after we were, as a people, we were meek milk. As a people. As a people, we were meek milk. And there's consequences to that. And I hope that we're not going to see what those consequences are with this particular administration. But they have garnered and harvested enough of this energy that if they wanted to move, goddammit, it would be an issue. Because I'm going to show you what they did during that period. And like the brother said, all of this is post-Trayvon. So once the Trayvon signal went out, shit. The Oval Office, all right? You know what I'm saying? 4 is a square, and time is square. Time has boxes, circle of life, squared by Saturn, all right? So that's the Saturnian box right there. Even when you go to gematria, okay? April 4th is 144, 44 is 144, time is 144. So if you need me to explain and interpret this to you, it means even in the geometric sense, 44 equals 44 because April 4th equals 44. So 144 is what they call, this is the law of time. It's the same thing as 44. And when you go to time itself, it equals 144 again, which is 44. So when you go to Times Square, all of this is dealing with the 44 rituals, all right? And hopefully I'm gonna be able to show you and get a little bit more into it before they cut me off. Because I'm gonna show you what these pillars, with the pillars surrounding this middle path, these pillars surrounding it is dealing with the fours, all right? So even this past Times Square, this is after I've been giving my lectures talking about Times Square dealing with 44. This past, what is it called? New Year's, 44 tons of confetti, paper hats, trash crashed on Times Square. Now, I don't know how you come up with these coincidences, okay? This is dealing with time, how they came up with time. They had commissioned a locomotive called a 440 locomotive, and they were only setting time zones based on when trains pulled into these small towns. So all of these small towns had different time zones based on when these trains arrived. And based on how commerce was flowing, they said, we can't do that no more. We have to have fixed time zones. And after they created this one train called a 440, then they were able to come up with the time zones. They was able to agree on a meridian, but I can't get into that right now. All right, I gotta flow through this. All right, it's grand opening, grand closing. The towers open on the 4-4 and they closed on 9/11 to me, which is 4-4, and I'm explaining to you why. When you take 9/11 and you reduce it to its most basic number, which is 2, right? The 9 and the 2, and you flip it around, when you count from 2 to 9, you come up with 44. Okay? 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 equals 44. All right? That's 9/11. You take out the 0 and the 1, that's your binary code. So to me, I call that the trinary code. Okay? Construction of the World Trade Center. All right? It started in 68. Okay? The construction of the World Trade Center started in 68. The same year that Martin Luther King was killed, in 68, on 4-4. April 4th, 1968 is when the King died. Okay? It's also, I'm gonna go here, wait, before I go back. It's also the same year, 1968 was also the same year when they started the 9/11 911 code. The calling code for the emergency police, it started in 1968, the same year that they started building the towers. All right? Now, to get into this, I gotta explain to you what they did to construct the towers. Plans to build a World Trade Center were controversial. The site of the World Trade Center was the location of Radio Row. Okay? We look down there, we see radio equals 144, which is 44. Home to hundreds of commercial and industrial tenants, property owners, small businesses, and approximately 100 residents, many of which fiercely resisted forced relocation. A group of small businesses affected by the inflection. That's all. This area where the World Trade Center was constructed was known as Radio Row. All right? Like I said, I'm showing you right there, radio's 44. So why would it have to be called Radio Row? What's the difference? Before we jump to that, I just want to touch on the fact that the Sky Lobby was on the 44th floor. This was an advanced technology. They had never done this before in terms of how they move their elevators up and down these shafts. Now, the shafts and all of that shit will come into prominence about how the towers came down. Now, I don't know about nobody else in this room, but I know, goddammit, ain't no planes take no towers down. And if you believe that, you need to go and watch some of the documentaries that they did on it to shake yourself out of that alternative reality they put you in. Because that's how we got all this bullshit we dealing with now. People consented to that lie, all right? So, Windows of the World, right? They had a skydive restaurant on the 44th floor. They did a lot to consecrate the 44th floor. Like I said, the emergency call center was enacted in 68. Look what they did, right? AT&T put a call in to the Alabama Speaker of the House, rank and file, from Haleyville City Hall to U.S. Rep. Tom Bevel at the city's police station. Bevel reportedly answered the phone with hello. At the city hall with Fowl with Halliefield Mayor John Wick. At the police station with Bevel and Gallagher and Alabama Public Service Commissioner Director Eugene Bull Connor. Now, if anybody knows their quote-unquote black history, you know who the hell Bull Connor is, dealing with Selma. All right? So this person was present at this 9/11 ritual when they enacted this whole 9/11 call system in '68. All right? So this was the construction of the World Trade Center. Like I said, remember this whole aspect of Radio Row. Radio deals with transmissions and frequencies, right? Radios deal with waves, all right? Radios deal with communication. You feel me? What was the World Trade Center? What exactly were they? This was the financial system of the world. What was that antenna up there for? They were the communication, the beacon signal, okay, of this particular empire, located at the base of New York City at the entrance on the west side. So if anybody has traveled in the lodge before, you know what the West Gate is about, all right? You know what the West Gate is about. So those are the twin pillars that you come into the gate, and you got Lady Liberty over there holding the torch in the ocean, all right? You got Empire State Building on 33rd. And then underneath World Trade Center was gold and water, and at the top of Manhattan is Harlem, where the Black Gold is at, and the EPI in the center of that is 125th Street, where anywhere you go in the city, when you come to 125th, it's 5 or 10 degrees hotter, guaranteed. Wherever you're at in the city, 125th Street is 5 to 10 degrees hotter at any given time. There's a current that runs through there. There's a river underneath it, all right? So again, the whole concept of gold and water and Manhattan itself is black quartz. So if you want to create a current, if you want to manifest something, then that's where you need to be. The indigenous people did not even live there. This is where they went for ceremony, not sacrifice per se. But getting back to World Trade Center, all right, it was built out of tuning forks, all right? And at the time, the standard for all tuning forks, the standard for all music is the 440 standard, all right? So think about those buildings if they're tuning forks. If something hits those buildings at the acceleration and the speed that it hit them at, what sort of frequency is ascending through the universe? I'm not talking about through your hood. I'm talking about through the galaxy, all right? Because they have tore a fabric of this galaxy, of this time and space continuum, where they have now been able to create what you know as, and we're calling the Mandela effect, all these other things. We have these alternate realities and dimensions that we live in, where they can tell you that there's alt facts. All right, everybody's not prescribed to the same reality. All right, but how can you do that? What sort of mass ritual can you enact on that level to bring these things about? All right, again, when we look at this whole aspect of the 432 megahertz, this is how music's supposed to sound. This is love, this is the heart. 440 is constricted. This is the cube. This is what Saturn looks like at its North Pole. If you want to domesticate and control a population, I didn't say black people, I didn't say New York, I'm talking about the globe, you use 440, okay? So this is just dealing with the whole aspect of them finding the gold. Anybody that's seen Die Hard knows they had gold under World Trade Center, all right? Now, this whole aspect, once again, we got to get into the musical scale. So we were talking about the radio. All right, so everything that you hear on the radio is dealing with 440 or 4 meter. Why is 440 seemingly the default time signature for human music creation? Is this innate or learned? Most musicians seem to agree that his heartbeat is 3-4-6-8, and I would think that this is the most common rhythm in our lives. So how did 4-4 become our mental default? All right, so when you look at the music scale, and you look where does 440 sit in that music scale? 440 hertz tone serves as the standard for musical pitch. 440 is the musical note A above middle C. When you go to the scale on C, the color arranged or connected to 440 is orange. How does that express itself when you're dealing with the empire? Everything in the empire is orange and blue. Okay? From the teens to the man with the orange hair. who's your 44th president. Okay? Yeah, I'm not gonna drop the mic right now. All right? So I wanted to, hold on. I think I skipped something I can't skip. When they opened up the new Trade Center, right? They opened up the One World Trade Center. They built it to the 40. They opened it up to the 44th floor. The first inhabitants were Condé Nast, who is the Devil Wears Prada lady, right? Anna Wintour. Okay, so they just explained how it was the most coveted floor in the building is the 44th floor in this new building. You know what I'm saying? She came from this building right here. When I told you the Twin Tower of Times Square and the ball drops, the ball is dropping between these buildings with the floors on it. All right? They're pulling off these rituals right in front of our face, hidden in plain sight. You know what I'm saying? Right there. Okay? So, like I said, this is called Foursquare. This is where the towers once stood. Okay? This is a square within a square. And what it means ritualistically, okay, status of the W's, World Trade Center complex, 44 buildings hitting the market. All right? What they're ritualizing with these four squares is this. It's homage, they're paying homage again to Saturn. This is the planet that they're utilizing to channel this energy that they are going to war with, Mars. Okay? So the black cubes at the 9/11 memorial symbols for Saturn. Saturn has a cube on its pole. The Roman myth says that Saturn ate his son Neptune. So this is Saturn, black cube, water, Neptune. The water goes within the cube and it gets redistributed over and over again. So that's the ritual that they're playing in terms of how they're paying homage to their ancestors with this memorial. All right? They're paying homage to Saturn. And of course, you know, that whole Neptune energy. So if there's any two gods in mythos that are associated with what we call, quote unquote, the devil, Neptune is Hades, we know that. And Saturn is Set. Okay? So this is who they're paying their homage to continuously. All right? The Trident, dealing with this whole. So even when they want to do even when they did their tribute of lights, even when they ritualize this dedication to 9/11, okay? The two beams cost approximately $1,858.56 to run for 24 hours. There are 88 spotlights, 44 for each tower, which each consume 8,000 watts. Okay? This can be seen from space. Feel me? They not playing. Remember I asked you to remember the monolith. So the monolith is a doorway to two worlds. 2001 came out in '68 as well. You know what I'm saying? This was featured prominently in the movie 2001. The monolith that pops up, okay? Now, I immediately remembered, every time I saw that movie, I was thinking about this hotel that they had across the street from the World Trade Center called the Millennium Hotel, okay? And the Millennium Hotel is this. It's a monolith. I've never seen a building that was just all black windows, black everything. You know what I'm saying? But I started recognizing as I moved around the city, everywhere I seen the Millennium Hotels, they was on 44th Street. They got it right here outside of the United Nations. You know what I'm saying? Right on the water. And then huh? All right. I had to get into the Austin so I can explain this whole Patriot days and the Patriots, the Super Bowl is coming up. You know what I'm saying? It's all tied in. You feel me? Dealing with their whole homage that they pay. If you could even see with the Boston Strong, and they got the 44 play illuminated in lights. Even if you look at the bombing, the Boston bombing that took place on the 44 mark, you know what I'm saying? With 144 hurt in the bombing marathon, in the when Matt Damon made the movie, he was 44. His production company's called Blue 44. Not Matt Damon, what's his name? Mark Wahlberg. You know, Child 44 director Daniel Espinosa exits Boston Marathon bomber drama Boston Strong. You know, here goes this whole aspect of Isaiah Thomas coming alive, scoring his 44 points. Number 4, he's having a year of his life right now, of his career. You know, that ties directly into this whole aspect of Boston. When they tried the 44-minute game in the NBA, they brought what? The Celtics played it at the Knicks, at the Barclays. I ran out of time, y'all. I didn't even get to talk. I got you. My apologies, y'all. You know, time 44. I don't want to say never seems to be on our side, but it's just something that, you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm gonna upload the lecture. Is anybody taking emails from people?
Yeah, he got emails.
Okay, we got emails. I'm gonna make sure that I send y'all a link so we can get to the bottom of this lecture dealing with these 44s, this presidency. You know what I'm saying? I just need 3 minutes. Just real quick, I'm just gonna I just gotta show them something. Just real quick, just so they can leave here knowing that there's something to it, and I'm gonna expound on it. This Trump thing is, you know, it's a whole homage to 44s. It's just 44s all in it. I'll just do this real quick, because this is leading up to the election. You know what I'm saying? But post-election, this is what he did, real quick. All right? He met with Obama, right? They said that they would have if him and Obama ran against one another, they said that he would beat him 45 to 44. His very first person that he announced to his chief of staff was Reince Priebus. He was 44 years old. The second person was the UN lady, Nikki Haley from South Carolina. She's 44. You know, when they attacked him on the AMAs, the dudes from Green Day, one of them was, no, 2 of them were 44. It was the 44th Annual American Music Awards. You know, the people that he attacked from the National Security Agency, they were founded on November 4th, but he's beefing with the CIA with a $44 billion budget. All right. 44 days before his inauguration, they put him on Time magazine, Time equals 44. 44% of people approve of how he is handling the transition. Remember that. Cambridge Analytica, the company responsible for getting him in the White House, they were involved in 44 political races. You know what I'm saying? And let's just deal with since he's been in the White House. All right. Like I said, he's mirroring the 44 president. Right? He's mirroring the 44 president. All right. 44 bars was open late for inauguration, but not at the Trump Hotel. You know, he gets in there. They got the red and blue. They mirroring. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with this whole aspect of twinning. He's a Gemini, so he can only twin. He's twinning Obama. You know, so he's twinning him. He's using shit out of his own playbook or what have you. The very first person that he elected to his cabinet that got approved was Mad Dog. Like I said, if you see here, even how they constructed the Reuters video is 44 seconds, right? Mad Dog and Gematria equals 44, military is 44, all right? The very first press, the press, when he sent the press people out to make the comments about the size and everything, that shit took place at 11:44 when he came out, all right? This was the same weekend that Aquarius went into, the sign of Aquarius came in. Aquarius equals 44, okay? That's the weekend of the Super Bowl when Georgia beat Wisconsin. Wisconsin and Georgia, the only 2 states with 44, all right? Saturday, when the march took place, the moon came into Scorpio at 4:44, right? Aquarius deals with revolution. That was the same weekend of the 44-year anniversary of Roe versus Wade. All right. So this is the whole Atlanta breakdown, how they pay homage to that number 44. All right. They said that 444,000 people attended the Women's March. God damn it. Feel me? 44th March for Life held on National Mall. 44% people disapprove of Trump's performance in the office thus far. Okay? 44 dealing with the whole border and everything. You feel me? This is Chicago. When they hit 44 homicides the other day, I put a prediction out on Facebook, on Instagram. I said he's gonna make the Chicago announcement. He made it in about 4 hours after that. All right. When they hit 44 homicides with 244 people shot in Chicago, he made his announcement. All right. He flubbed the numbers, but he still made the announcement. You know what I'm saying? So I got more because that's just like generalizing and brushing through numbers. It's a narrative that goes along with it. Why is he using these 44s? Why? Not only just because he's the 44th president, you feel me? And yeah, we're gonna have to get into it.
I'll cover that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, rather cover it. And just because y'all might be skeptics, the next United States president will actually be the 44th, not the 45th, as many believe. All right. So with that, family, I want to say thank you for your time and your attention. I hope you walk away feeling that strap in your hand like, how is this nigga always talking about these 44? All right? Come on.
Blackamoor, I appreciate y'all coming out here tonight. I really, really appreciate it. Like, everything was kind of last minute. This whole last month, January, y'all know the weather was bad. We was trying to get these tickets out and, advertise, promote. So, for y'all to do what y'all did, for a first event, hey, I can't ask for nothing better. So I appreciate y'all. Respect, love, Ashe, and the whole nine. So y'all, before y'all leave, if you can, get some more food, talk to the vendors, deal with the vendors.
Hold on, bro.
Yeah, what?
I didn't even get on. What you talking about?
It's time.
No, bro. I said that I already asked the audience if they're
I wasn't here.
Willing. If they said they'll be willing to go an extra hour.
No, y'all did?
I said, give us like a 10-minute break.
Yeah, okay.
Go pay them. Go pay them. They bread, and let's get a little 15-minute break. I know that it's Sunday, family, but I've been preparing 2 months to deliver information. I'm not saying that everybody got all day. I know people got obligations, and because we started late, that's my bad. Certain things wasn't ready technologically and other things, and we'll talk about that with the promoter afterwards. I'm not gonna have that conversation now. But what we're saying is we want the family to please be with us for at least another hour. I got about 4 hours of information, but I'm gonna condense it, and I'm gonna run through it and police my tongue. I'm gonna make sure I don't build on every single slide, but we're gonna have to get this information because it is imperative. So how I deal with information is I have to get it out. And if there's one person in here, it doesn't matter. It's not about numbers. I would thank everybody for what they developed with Blue Game. I was here to open up for me. You feel what I'm saying? I have some information for the Fear of Blackamoor side that I would love to share. So, let's make that happen.
Okay, ready? Okay. All right, Blackamoor. Like I said, I was going to try to hook this stuff up, so I didn't know that he even said anything to y'all. So we're going to go ahead and work for another hour. We're going to talk to the people and handle that so y'all can talk. Break. Let's take a quick 15-minute break, y'all. It's hot, so get some fresh air.
broad smile and the sexy dress you wear. It's totally impossible for many eyes not to stand. There is no reason to be so uptight when you got everything going right. I like to know you have immense fantasy. Girl, check out your style, brothers going wild. It's hard to keep control when you ride their own petrol. So